Hey everybody, welcome back. Devin here, the OG, the original Grognar, continuing our playthrough of Arab-Israeli Wars, Situation Standard 6 Abu Ageila, part of our continuing look at the Key to the Sinai, a study in three mediums of the Battle of Abu Ageila. Before I get into the gameplay, a couple things I wanted to go over. Yes, everybody should be used to this by now. I do it quite often, that I have to fix things that happened in the last video. The first thing, over at the Panzer Blitz, Panzer Leader, Arab-Israeli Wars Facebook group, Robert and I kind of got into a little bit of a discussion on the counter values, the differences between Panzer Blitz and the Soviet equipment in Arab-Israeli Wars. So I wanted to take a quick moment to kind of compare the vehicle numbers. So basically here we have T-34s and SU-100s, and of course T-34 are the top units are the Panzer Blitz, and the bottom units are the Arab-Israeli Wars. We see that, and for those of you who may not know the system, because I sometimes forget that not everybody ever played the Panzer Blitz, Panzer Leader system. Let's see if I can try to get these in focus. Attack value, range, defense, movement. Now, we take a look. It doesn't look like it's coming in very clear. Take a look at the T-34s. In Arab-Israeli Wars, well, first of all, I do want to touch on the movement ratings. The movement ratings, like I said a couple of videos ago, were definitely reduced in Arab-Israeli Wars, and the designer's notes gets into that. So we definitely see a change in the movement values. Ranges, they don't change. We see ranges stay similar at between all four counters. Now for the SU-100, the stats really don't change at all. It's a 16 firepower, 15 defense, 16 firepower, 15 defense. Although if we take a look at the T-34-85, it is a 15 attack in Panzer Blitz, but it's a 7 attack in Arab-Israeli Wars with defense of 10, defense of 7. I will point out one thing. The counters in the armor counters, not just the armor counters, the Soviet counters in Panzer Blitz are at the company scale, whereas the Germans were at the platoon scale. So that is one reason we see such a wide deviation from the T-34. And in fact, the T-34-85, if this is a company value, divide that by 3, you're looking at a platoon attack value of what, 4 point something? 4.6. Whereas with the platoon in Arab-Israeli Wars, it's a 7. However, using that same formula doesn't work with the SU-100. I don't know why that is, but there is definitely some disparaging differences between the counters in Panzer Blitz and the counters in Arab-Israeli Wars. I wish I could go into more detail on how they came to the numbers in Arab-Israeli Wars. However, they do not give any type of mathematical formula in Arab-Israeli Wars for how they came to their numbers. And I really hope I put that SU-100 in the right spot. Why do I have a feeling it wasn't in the right spot? Well, oops. Anyways, they go into the reasons. They go into the reasons why there was such a difference in numbers, but they don't give a mathematical formula how they came to it. They go into, and honestly, if you take a look, there's, probably designer notes. We're starting right here with itty bitty font, and goes into, practically 3 pages worth of notes. Goes into, the Soviet way of bracketing a target using the naval gunfire method of one short, one long, and then from there, calibrated in to get to hit the target on the third shot. Whereas the Israelis, I think it was fin. I don't think they had fin stabilizing ammunition at that time. But basically, the Israeli ammunition was pinpoint laser out to about 1,800 yards. So they would just calibrate their guns for 1,800 yards and then modify from there. Shorter target, longer target, they would just increase the elevation just a little bit. Whereas anything under 800 yards, they put the sights on it, and that's where the gun should hit, barring all outside concerns. So it was a nice little discussion, but I don't have any answers how they came to their mathematical formulas. I'm sure they had a reason, and I'm sure it was logical to them. I just can't tell you why they did it that way. So, but if you ever get a chance to get your hands on the designer's notes, it actually is a pretty good set of designer's notes. I'm not going to sit here and read through it because, like I said, it's like 8 font and it's 3 pages, and it's good information, but that's it. I'm going to spend the time going over. Okay, the one rules thing that I did mess up that I kind of caught afterwards is we had the Arab or the Egyptian platoons fire on the half-track units, and I was shooting at them as if they were infantry. Half-tracks are not infantry class; they are armored class. Now, I'm going to get back into a counter redesign would be kind of really cool, but as I think about it more, maybe not the best, because all the information you have, anybody who's played Panzer Blitzpanzer Leader knows these unit tables. And it's got all the pertinent information on it. The weapons type, the target type, what its hold down modifier is, direct fire, op fire, interdiction fire, overrun, close assault. If it's a truck, it's a carrier. If it can be used as a passenger. All that information is on there. If you're willing to take the time and go through and look at the charts beforehand to get it set in mind with what units that are out there. Now, so we take a look at the, where is it? Where's these? Okay, so we got the M3 half-track right here. Target type, it's an armored. So with it being an armored type, the infantry, the Egyptian infantry, can only hit it at a range of 2. Because if we take a look at our handy little weapons effective chart, infantry weapons can only hit an armored target out to 2 hexes. So they couldn't have hit that armored target way out there. Now, like I was saying, it would be nice if a lot of this information was on the counter, like if it's, I don't know, if it's an armored target, underline the defense value. If it's a split move fire capable, underline the I don't know, the movement. If it's, but then I realize that there's 8 or 9 different categories of information of extra stuff you can stick on the counter. That the counters can get very busy after a while, and we run into the problem like you have with, even at the minor end, Lock and Load's World at War with their armor counters, with the subscripts and the underlines and the overlines and the boxes and everything, that it's, all right, what the hell does this mean, and what the hell does this mean? Or you get even worse to, I don't know, an armor counter from Advanced Squad Leader where you need, a degree in quantum physics to figure out what the counter's saying. All right, I jest. I over-exaggerate, not by much, but so there's a part of me that would like more information on the counters, but how much is too much, and what information would be pertinent, what information would be left on the unit identification chart. So, anyways, that's enough of my meandering on last episode. Now we should probably get into turn 2. And okay, so we have first player air phase, we got no air. First player fire phase, we got, okay, so we start off with indirect fire attacks. We have no indirect fire attacks because I forgot when I first started playing that you need to spot the enemy units to be able to drop artillery on them, and since the Israelis didn't have any units on the board, there was no way I could spot any units to call in artillery for this turn. However, I am on board this turn. I can spot them. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what we originally intended to do last time. We're going to have our 3 batteries hit here, here, and here. So I'm just going to write down Y7, X6, X8. And so that'll be good for next turn. All right, so there's that. Indirect fire phase. And then indirect plotting, which we just did. Now, direct fire attacks. Again, the thing that always throws me this game is that fire before movement. I mean, honestly, how many games do fire before movement? Not many that I can think of. So, actually, what we're going to do is we're going to start over here because it's going to be easier. We got some Centurions here. And we need to decide who we're going to try to kill. Alright, I would like to take this guy and shoot him here, but I don't think I can because it's crossing... I mean, it's down the hex side, but it's crossing two dunes, so I don't think I can actually fire there. So I could check the rules, but I'm not worried about it. It's early in the morning, and I haven't had caffeine yet, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to fire from here to here. So one Centurion at the top, T10, and one Centurion at the bottom, T10. All right, so now we are armored firing at armored, or armor piercing firing at armored. And we check our weapons effect chart. So, armored, fighting at armored, and we're what? 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes away. So 3 to 6 hexes, it's normal, but we got to remember we have this doubled subscript here for subscript 5. In situations after 1960, Israeli units are doubled. So Israeli units, we've gone over this before. Israeli units are doubled out to 6 hexes for armor piercing versus armored. Again, that's kind of getting to the what I was saying earlier about that they would gun sight out to 1,800 yards because the ammunition would not start to drop to that point. So that allowed them longer range capabilities and, one shot, one kill, or better chance at first shot, first kill capabilities. So we got 25, which is going to be doubled to 50. Good God. 50 to 11 is 5 to 1. All right, but they're behind a dune because the fire, it's coming down the hex spine right there. We're gonna say it's gonna cross the dune just because I wanna point this out. Under normal circumstances, most targets, when they're behind a dune, when they're hull down, what they consider hull down in the game, which is just basically directly behind a dune or a ridge line, it's a +2 modifier to the dice roll. However, if you're firing at Soviet armor, it's only a +1 modifier. Now, they don't get into it exactly why it is like that. It can't be because of silhouette, because Soviet tanks were very low silhouette vehicles. What I am going to assume, though, is that it's... Soviet tanks also may have been low silhouette vehicles, but their guns could not depress for crap. Thus meaning if they were on a ridge line, they would have to get further out over the ridge line to be able to press their guns down to shoot at something below them. Now, the rules do not take into account if you're firing from ridge line to ridge line like we are here now, and with this being a quote-unquote Avalon Hill scale difficulty 8 game, you would think that they would have in something from ridgeline to ridgeline shot. At least if I were designing this, if it were a ridgeline to ridgeline shot, Soviets would be at get a +2 modifier if they were hull down. If it was the Centurions were there firing at the Soviets, then it would be a +1 because the Soviets got to come further over the ridge line. But ridge line to ridge line, they don't have to get as exposed, so it would be back to the +2. Again, just my opinion. It's not even an optional rule, I don't think, but it is what it is. So we got 2 shots, and both of them are going to be 50 to 11, which is going to be 4 to 1 odds, and it's going to be a +1, which we're probably going to see some dead Soviet tanks here real quick. So we'll do the first shot, which is a 1 with +1 is going to be a 2. And the second shot is a 2 + 1 is going to be a 3. So on the 4 to 1 column, 2 and 3, yeah, dead tanks. So let's go ahead, remove both those T10s, and replace it with a Burning Wreck 2 marker. Now, since these guys can shoot move, they're shoot move capable, I'm not going to flip them over. I'm just going to turn them 90 degrees like that to remind me that they can still move half of their movement. All right, now, other shooting. We got these three guys right here. Can't see these 234s because they're not adjacent to the ridge line. But I can see over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to be a little bit out of range, but I think... Actually, I don't think, because that's going to cross there. I think this is the only unit I'm going to be able to shoot at. So, you know what? Just because it's the only thing I can... You know what? No, I'm just going to have one shoot. I'm going to have one of these tanks shoot. So it's going to be... No, we're going to have... Yes. No. No. Do I want to move those guys? Part of me wants to move the Centurions over here, but they're going to be catching a lot of... Nah, you know what? These guys are going to stay right where they're at. So let's just go ahead and have all three of them. So that's going to be 25 times 75 to 11. Ooh, that's a 7-to-1 odds, even with the +1. Yeah, if I roll a 6. So 2 plus 1 is 3, and there is the 7-to-1 odds table, and even if you roll a 6, the only way you can only disrupt is if there's some type of terrain modifier. But we rolled a 2, 3, so that's a destroyed. So that's going to destroy that tank. Put that there, and those guys, turn those guys cockeyed so we can remember that they can move up to half, although half would be 2 movement points. I'm not sure if I'd want to move them out of their positions from there. All right, so then we'll go ahead and go over here. We'll start off with the tanks. Now, something else we need to look at the weapons effective chart. These tanks are armor piercing, and they're going to be firing at infantry. So we have armor piercing weapon, firing at a non-armored target, 0 to 4 hexes, it's halved. 5+ hexes, it's quartered. So that's something you need to remember when you're using tanks against infantry in this game. So 1, 2, 3. So we're 4 hexes, so it's going to be halved. So we got 22s across the board. And what are we looking at defenses? 8. So 22s are going to be halved to 11. So 11 to 8 is going to be 1 to 1. If I do normal straight up shots. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's have all 3 of these guys fire there at 1 to 1 odds. So that's going to be 3 at 1 to 1 odds. I'll just go down and roll 3 times. No modifiers, so 6, that's going to be a miss. 3 is going to be a disrupt, I believe. And 2 is going to be a disrupt. Check the chart just to make sure. 1 to 1 odds, 3 and 2. Yep, it's a disrupted. So one thing I always liked about the Panzer Blitz Panzer Leader CRT, very simple, very easy to memorize. So on 2 of them, we'll go ahead and throw the disrupted marker on, which is kind of good because these are C-class morale, and it's going to be harder for them to recover from being disrupted. All right, what do we got here? We actually got 4 units here, but I think I'm only going to fire 3 of them, and we're going to fire here. So it's going to be the same thing. It's within 4 hexes, so it's going to be halved firepower. 11 to 8 is 1 to 1 odds. 3 times over, no modifiers. 6 is a miss. 4 is a miss. And 2 is a disrupted. So we got 1 of them that's disrupted. And we'll go ahead and cock those guys. Now you can remember, you can only shoot at each individual unit once. So actually, you know what? I think I'm going to take this guy as well. He's going to shoot. But he's going to shoot here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's going to be quartered. All right, so he's not going to shoot. And the mine flail is, or the Sherman flail is not going to shoot. So I think that's pretty much it for shooting. Now, here's where another odd thing of the rules come into play. The end of the fire phase is you check for disrupted. So I've got 2 disrupted guys over there, and these guys are morale level A. So we look at morale level A, and we look at all of the units, including infantry and forts. It's going to be a 1 through 5. So as long as they don't roll a 6 on either one of them, they will recover from being disrupted. 3, he's good. 3, he's good. All right, so both of those guys recover from being disrupted. All right, movement. I don't think I'm going to move any of these guys because they split fire moves, so that means, or they fired, so that means they'd only be able to move half movement, which is 2 hexes, so 1, 2. They wouldn't, no, I don't want them out in the open. So since they fired, and I'm not going to move them, now I'm going to go ahead and flip them over and commit them to their fired sides. Up here, I think we're going to advance a little bit. Let's go ahead. We want to stay 2 hexes. Try to stay 2. Well, he's only got 1 guy there. 6 to 11. It's going to be 1 to 2 odds. Yeah, we need to start moving forward a little bit. So let's go 1, 2, which as far as they can move, because they're half of 5 is 2.5. So these guys can actually go half. Oh, well, yeah, let's go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we do have that anti-tank gun back there that I forgot about. But, I already committed to the movement, so we're going to go ahead and op fire with him. So I'm going to flip him over, and it's 1, 2, 3. It's 4 hexes. I'm just going to put him on top there just to, let's go ahead and put him under the improved position marker. Now, again, this is a armor piercing versus an armor at 4 hexes, which is the 3 to 6. Normal, it's not doubled like the Israelis are, because the Israelis have that special subscript of after 1960. Only the Jordanians get to double their firepower at 3 to 6, but that's in after 1967. So the Egyptian anti-tank is a 15 to an 11. It's going to be 1 to 1 odds. No modifiers. And we got a 6, which is nothing. That's not good. And then we're going to take one of these infantry units. That infantry unit, we're going to fire with him. 6 to an 11. It's going to be 1 to 2 odds. But, what else are they going to shoot at? 6 is what the hell is up with this 6? 6 is all over the place. All right, so move these guys half 1, and they're going to go ahead and we'll move this guy along with them as well. We can catch some op fire there. I believe I've got an anti-tank gun. Not there. Where's the other anti-tank gun? Right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to fire as well. So it's going to be 15. Actually, I could probably 15. Range of 2. No, I got 2 guys there. Okay, so the 1 anti-tank gun will fire at 1 of the units at 1 to 1. No modifiers. 2 is disrupted. We'll flip him, and we're going to take these 2 guys that aren't disrupted, combine their firepower into a 12, and fire 1 of the tanks. So it's going to be 12 to 11, which is going to be 1 to 1 odds. No modifier. 4 is going to be a nothing. Oops. That is a disrupted, not a... That's the one thing I'm probably going to be catching myself, is flipping dispersed instead of putting a dispersed marker on them. And these guys will get flipped because they're done with movement. I should flip these guys. All right, that's the flail tank. 1, 2, 3, 4... Check real quick. I think it's a extra +1 to try to clear a minefield with a flail tank. Let me check that real quick. Standard rules, combat, neutral counters, blocks, trenches, bridges, hedges. Where's minefields? Minefields. Let's see. Okay. As soon as the unit moves on a minefield, the minefield executes a 2-to-1. Exception, an engineer or flail unit is not attacked. Okay, well, it's nothing under minefields about that. Oh, engineering functions. Sherman flail. Flail tanks are never attacked when attacked by a minefield when entering or leaving. A flail unit in a minefield expends 1/2 of its movement allowance to remove the minefield. Alright, so we can move on to this minefield with no problem. That'll be our 5th movement point, but we can't do anything to try to clear the mine yet. Alright, now our infantry. Do I sit back? Even though the meta part of me knows that I'm going to be catching artillery soon, because we have the Egyptians having fired or plotted their artillery. But, well, you know what? Now that we know that these guys are armored and that the infantry can't hurt them unless they're within 2 hexes, I think the column is going to move forward a little bit. We're going to stay. Now, it takes half my movement to unload. Okay, oh, and that's the other thing I was doing wrong. You move 1 unit at a time. I was moving the entire stack earlier, sorry. So it's 1 unit at a time. So let's go half, 1, half to unload, which is going to be 4, so that's going to be at 5 movement points, and I'm outside of range, so he can't shoot at me. And when you're unloaded, you're considered ops complete. So that's 5.5, 6.5, 7.5. Okay, so 7.5 there. Because we do not want those half tracks to get shot at, because that's just giving away victory points. Same thing with this guy. 1, 2, 1/2, 1. And totally forgot the 25-minute mark. Roughly, the video cuts out on me. So I hope I didn't lose too much. So the second unit is going to move up. So as I was doing, 1/2. 1 unload for 5, 5.5, 6.5, 7.5, and we're just going to repeat the process here. We got 3 guys. Now, again, we're going to do the same thing with this stack. 1/2, 1, unload at 5, 6, 7, 8, and rinse, wash, repeat, because you know what, I'm gonna have to back up a little bit, but that's fine. Look at this guy. Oops. What's this guy? Infantry unit. Oh. Alrighty. Actually, when they're unloading, these guys back here can be shooting at them. That's one thing I forgot as part of op fire. So we've got 3 infantry there. And we got 3 infantry there that can op fire. Yeah, so these 3 guys will op fire on this infantry as they're being unloaded, 1 at a time. So it's going to be 6 to 8. So yeah, let's go for 1 to 2 shots. So each one of these is going to fire on one of the infantry units as they're unloading. 1 to 2 odds. Actually, you know what? No, they don't want to op fire, because if they op fire, they're not going to be able to shoot next turn. And I think I want to get some big stacks built so I can combine lots of firepower. So we're not going to op fire. Okay, change our mind on that. Same thing with these guys. 1, unload 5, 6, 7, 8. And like so. Yes, I know the half track should be flipped over as well. These guys. You know what? We're just going to move these guys right there. I know the meta in me says, oh, but that hex is going to be getting targeted with artillery fire. It's like, you know what? That's fine. I don't know that. I don't know where the artillery is going to be dropping. We're just going to leave it like that. And I don't want to unload those guys yet. So, all right. So that's going to be it for the Israeli turn. So we're going to switch over to the Egyptian turn real quick. And I need to take a quick break because my throat is starting to get dry. So let me go ahead and rehydrate myself a little bit, and I will be right back. Okay, we're back, and I realized I was a little bit cold, and so I had to put my hoodie on because it is gloriously fall time here in Seattle. It is wet, rainy. It was even snowing yesterday. Didn't stick, but you know, we had big fat snowflakes coming down for a little bit. Of course, all the neighborhood kids are out squealing and giggling with glee and delight. I'll admit that the child in me kind of enjoyed it as well. All right, so we're over to the Egyptian turn too. Airstrikes, no airstrikes. Indirect artillery. We do have indirect artillery. This is gonna hurt. All right, so last turn we plotted out CC8, DD7, EE7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So basically those two hexes, those three hexes were the three hexes that were going to get hit. Those two hexes are the hexes that's going to get hit. Now, take a look at the Egyptian artillery. Their firepower 13. And the first stack, so let's just go ahead and get the first stack and spread it out. Our infantry targets. Take a look at indirect fire for howitzers against a non-armored is normal. You know, when I first started playing this game, when I first got Panzer Leader in Christmas of 1981, didn't even play with the weapons effectiveness chart. Kind of makes the game a whole different game if you don't play with one of the core mechanics. I was 12. What do you expect? I was glad I was even able to push counters around without, choking on them. So we got 13 firepower, and the way artillery is handled, that 13 firepower is applied to each unit, so 13 to 8, 13 to 8, 13 to 8. We got 3 attacks at 1-to-1 odds, and stop knocking over markers. And no modifiers, so it's going to be 3 straight up 1-to-1 attacks. We got a 6, which is nothing. We got a 3, which is a dispersed, disrupted, and a 3. So we got 2 of them that are disrupted. I know the official designation is dispersed, but I like disrupted better. And that guy's nothing. Now, the next artillery strike is against the half-tracks, which are armored targets. So we got indirect fire of howitzers against armored target is half. So that's going to help them a little bit. So 13 to 3 is going to be, 13 is halved to be 6.5 to 3. So it's going to be 2-to-1 odds. Oopsie. This could be bad. No modifiers. Since there are different types of units in here, I'll go ahead and break these up. Because we got a mortar in one of the half tracks, we got engineers or machine gun platoon in one of the half tracks. Oh no, 2 machine gun platoon. I thought I had an engineer platoon. Anyway, so 1, 2, 3 for the dice roll is going to be 2-to-1 odds, no modifiers. 3 is going to be a disrupted, fairly certain. At 2-to-1, yes, 3 is a disrupted. We got a 2. Uh-oh. Looking at the odds chart, 2-to-1 odds. A 2 is... Oh, it's a disrupted 2. Woo, woo. And the third target, it's a 2. So all of those guys are going to get disrupted, which is good because they weren't destroyed. Oops. Yeah, those guys are... Well, I'll keep them right side up, but I'm going to have the disrupted marker on them anyways. Or dispersed marker. All right, so that's artillery. Now we have fire. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start over here. I don't think these guys are going to have line of sight here, which is fine. We're just going to move them around that way as well. We need to really try to bum rush these Israeli units. These guys are not going to fire because they don't have a target. These guys... can see those guys, because I think these guys are the ones that fired at them last time. These guys can see, but you know, part of me really wants to get within 2 inches, or 2 hexes. You know what? I think I am just going to try to bum rush them. I mean, the Arabs or the Israelis have got guys that can't op fire because they've already fired this turn. Yeah, I think now would be the time to really rush them to get within the 2 hexes to get that doubling benefit from armor piercing versus tanks. So those guys aren't going to shoot. Over here, let's see, really the only guys that we've got, I think he's not going to be able to see anybody. He's got a direct line. He's got a direct line. But those are armored units, so yeah, those are the armored units. So these are the infantry. So we've got 1 unit here. So I'll flip him over. Oops, he's disrupted. Those guys fired at the armor, so they can't. Really need to get myself a decent pair of hobby tweezers. So I'll take those 3 guys. That's going to be 6, 12, 18. And these guys, 6, 12, 18. Both of those 2 hexes are going to fire on a target in here. 18. I could do 1 at 4 to 1 or 2 at 2 to 1. 6, 12, 18, 36. 36 to 8 would be, yeah, that'd be 6 to 1. Not quite so. You know what? We're going to do 1 at 4 to 1 odds. So basically, both of these stacks are going to combine their firepower. Fire 1 guy, infantry air range, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be a 4 to 1 odds. No modifiers. 2, that's a dead. So that will kill. Where's my stack of dead units? All right, we'll stick that up there. Stack of dead units so far. Let's see. He's not going to be able to. I've got a mortar here. Yeah, I've got that mortar. And 1 infantry. Let's take a look at what mortars are against infantry, because I think mortars at direct fire. Let's see. Direct fire, mortar, doubled against non-armored. So against infantry, mortars get doubled. So that is going to get doubled to an 8. Let's go ahead and flip him. 8. Well, he's got plenty of range, so we're going to fire 1 guy here. So 8 to 8, it's going to be 1 to 1 odds, no modifiers. That's a 5, that's nothing. Let's see, what do we got here? We got another mortar back here. Yeah, we do have another mortar. So that mortar is going to fire on the other infantry here that hasn't been shot at yet. Flip him over. 4, double to 8, 1 to 1. No modifiers. 6. Now, what is up with all these 6s? Wow. I think I'm going to take that dice and stick it in the game where I need high rolling dice. Okay, we got 2 there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can fire the infantry there. I don't think there's any. Nope. And I should be able to see that. We'll call that as line of sight. And these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay, they can combine fire as well. So those 2 stacks, these 2 stacks will combine fire into there. So we got 6, 12, 24 to 8, because they're going to fire at one of the infantry. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I'm an idiot. It's after your movement, you reflip your guys back over. So these guys can op-fire. It's just if they op-fire, they won't be able to fire next turn. All right, so that changes a little bit. Well, you know what? I got to swarm them anyway, so all these guys need to should have been flipped back over at the end of my movement phase. But we've still got that 24 firing at one of the guys in this stack right here. So it's going to be a 3-to-1 odds. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. Oops. 3-to-1, no modifier. 4 is on 3-to-1. Is disrupted. Dispersed, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Dispersed there. Flip back over. And all the half tracks. All right, yeah, that is something I should have done at the end of the Israeli movement phase. All right, what do we got next? Don't think any of these guys because of the. Yeah, I think because these guys may have to start moving north. Maybe. We'll see. Anyways, so that was shooting for there. Now we've got movement. Yeah, that changes things. Maybe I should have shot some over here. Well, the first thing I got to do. Let's go ahead. Let's kill off these T-34s. Go 1, 2. So he'll go ahead and take the shot. 50 to 7. Oh God, that's 7-to-1 odds. +1 for being hull down. So there's a chance he could only get disrupted. Nah, he's knocked out. Burning T-34. This guy will move into there. Now, does a rec marker provide +1? I don't think a rec marker provides. I think rec marker is harder to move into. It doesn't have anything on the terrain effects chart. And I don't think there's a modifier for firing. All right, so it's going to be, again, +1 for the hold down position. 5 +1 is a 6. Dead. And he'll move there. The third one will fire. Again, 7-to-1 odds. 3 +1 is a 4. Dead. Lots of burning tanks so far. Alrighty. Good thing we have more T-34s. Now, that was probably wasted shots on my part. I probably should not have been firing at the T-34s. So let's go. 1. We are not going to fire because we know we got bigger vehicles moving, but if these guys get too close, it's going to be 14, doubled 14. Still 14 to 15 is not even 1-to-1 unless I get lots of T-34s stacked up on somebody. I only got, so I got 4 op fires left I can do. Yeah, there's just no way around it. The Egyptians are going to get vehicles on me. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Not going to op fire because, yes, I'd rather take shots from a T-34-85 at point blank range than an SU or a T-10. So that flips him. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, still not going to op fire. Still not going to op fire. Although he probably could, because most of the... Ooh, yeah. I may have messed that up. Oh, well. Not going to retcon it. Continue moving Soviets, or Soviets, Egyptians. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, not going to op fire. This is going to hurt really, really badly next turn. Because if you notice, when I op fire, it flips me, and that doesn't get unflipped until the end of my next fire phase, or my next movement phase. So, yeah. Keep swarming them with T-34s. 1, 2, 3. As much as I'd love to, I should be doing overrun attacks. I didn't bother to read up on the rules too much on overruns. May have been... I don't know if armor can overrun armor. We may have to take a look at that in between next turns. Oh, you know what I also... Oh, I forgot to write down my artillery strikes for next turn for the Egyptians. I can't believe I'm messing up so much. All right, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, artillery strikes. We'll just go 1, 2, 3 right there. So that's A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, A8. And BB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, BB8. And CC8. Okay. Good thing I'm playing against myself. If I was playing against an opponent, he'd probably be yelling at me for forgetting all these things. Good thing my normal opponent is really lax about things like that, because he's just as dumb as I am. All right, now here's where it's going to get a little bit... Yeah, okay, 1. And we're going to fire. We're going to take one of these Centurions. 50 to 15 is going to be 3 to 1. No modifier. 5. I think that's actually going to be just a disrupted on 3 to 1. Yep, that's a disrupted. Dispersed, whatever. God, you know what I'm talking about. That's 1. We'll go 1, and the other one's going to fire. 1 is going to be a destroyed. Kerboomin'. And we're going to move here, and one of those is going to fire again, 3 to 1. 4. What's a 4 on a 3 to 1? 3 to 1 on a 4 is a disrupted. I got one whole Centurion left. 1, 2, 2, 1. Now we'll fire at him here. So 50 to 11, 5 to 1, 4 to 1. 4 is going to be dead. And that's all the Centurions, boys and girls. So the remaining Egyptian armor can put themselves into whatever position they want. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't move that far, so 5. There. And I have a feeling there's going to be a bunch of hurt. Actually, we're going to move him right there instead. Hurt put on the Israelis next turn. All right, well, that's it for movement, or that's it for fire, and that's going to be it for turn 2. And I think we're pushing about an hour because I tend to go off on little sidetracks a little bit. So I'll go ahead and flip the Arab units over off camera, and that's turn 2. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms in the comment section. I'll see everybody next time. See ya.